what's cracking? Sorry about that. If anybody knows anything about OBS, like if you run a channel or something like that, you got a couple options when you just use OBS and you don't use you get a lot more options, I guess I should say, instead of using like Streamlabs or StreamYard or whatever other software is out there. But in straight OBS, you hit start streaming, but it doesn't mean you go live. What it does is it starts to record for you, and then when you hit go live, that's when it goes. So anyway, that's what happened. Sorry about that. I thought I was waiting on the wait screen, and I was actually talking in the chat. But yeah, guys, we've had quite a bit of stuff going on here. So we're just going to kind of jump into it. Thanks for being here. Please like and share it. Share it's most important. Thank you for taking time out of your day to come listen to some hillbilly give you, space weather news. I am what you would call a kindergartner in space weather. To give you guys a little bit of, a reference. If anybody knows who Tamitha Skov is, she would be the professor teaching at a high dollar college, which she actually is a professor. So if you guys don't know who Tamitha Skov is, please go check her out. It's free college, guys. It really truly is. And she does really good presentations. She'll do a 3 or 4 hour live stream, but she breaks it down. So it's, if you really want to learn something about what's going on with space weather and how it all works, the benefit of that is, number one, you ain't got to pay for college. Number two, you can pause it, go back and re-watch it 100 times if you need to understand it. Plus, she does it in a way that we can all understand it. She doesn't, try to throw a bunch of word salad at you. Like I try not to do that too. Sometimes you can't help it. You got to just use the word. But when that happens, she explains it. And so that's kind of what I do here too. I'll explain the word. So you won't get word salad here. You're going to get, just basic, hopefully good understanding of what I'm trying to show you guys. But please go check her out over there because, it really is, guys. You're doing yourself a good favor if you go over there and just, I've learned so much from watching her channel. I've never had a personal conversation except for in a comment section with Tamitha. I just think she does a really good job. It's just really good, solid stuff. So thanks for all my mods for being here, and let's get this rolling. So yeah, guys, we're going to start right here. This is the 304 angstrom SDO. You know what? I do this every single live stream. I'm going to have to, I hate it when I do that, guys. Sorry. So let me, I'm going to take you guys here and show you where the satellite's at. It's just easier for me to show you a picture. That's why. This is how the satellite orbits. Okay. It's always looking at the sun. That's why you see it rotating. But as it rotates, it's orbiting Earth at 15 degrees an hour, which is exactly the same speed we turn on our axis, right? So because that's in what's called geosynchronistic orbit, which means it stays over the same spot of our planet at all times, but it rotates, so it keeps its eye on the sun. So it does this figure 8 pattern right here. It may, I'm not sure, but I think it might actually kind of move a little this way and that way throughout the year, just to kind of give it its best chance of not being eclipsed by the Earth. Because sometimes the Earth will pass between the satellite and the sun. So that's what's up with that, with the geosynchronistic orbit stuff. I just want to show you guys where the satellite's at because I think it's important to understand what we're looking, what kind of perspective we're looking at. And you're oftentimes hearing me say this, hey, this is from our perspective, right? It's as if you go outside and look up, okay? Really, that's what this satellite is showing you. So let's go back here. And we had that eruption yesterday that I showed you guys, right? This filament eruption here on the southern hemisphere of the sun. Well, it was a canyon of fire eruption. Okay, and what that means is, you'll see it in just a second, It visually looks like a canyon of fire. It is not a canyon of fire. It's just what we call it. Okay? I'm not going to go into exactly what you're looking at there, but it's plasma and stuff on the sun. It's not fire. Okay? That's a misconception. The sun is not on fire. Not in the ways that we think, typically. So anyway, as you see this filament, what's up, Butterfly, Jerry, Miss? What's up, guys? Daryl? Okay, gosh dang it. Hey, Butterfly. I'm going to put my chat away. Sorry, guys. But anyway, so you get this filament eruption. That's what that is. This dark filament right here. And it erupted. And when it did, you could see it peel back the atmosphere. Okay, and on the surface. Because these filaments typically lay on the surface or kind of low in the corona. Okay? So when they do erupt, that's what they do. They just lift off. Now they can be instigated by a flare or another eruption to destabilize them, and they can really, these things can blast off here pretty violently. Okay? So you can kind of see how wide this canyon of fire is. To give you a little bit of point of reference, you see this little zero down here? 03, 024. That little zero right there in the date is about the size of the Earth in relation to what we're looking at here. The Earth might even be a little bit smaller than that. So we're looking at something really huge, but it doesn't look huge because of how we have to look at it. Remember, when you're talking about the sun, you got to picture yourself standing on the sun looking up in terms of direction. So north and south is the same, but when I say it's east, the east limb of the sun, I'm not talking about the right side like you would be if you were looking at a map. I'm talking about the left side. Okay, so that's, and the reason why, you got to picture yourself standing on the sun looking up. Okay, so with that being said, let's just take a look at this a little bit more here. And this filament eruption is going to hit us. Okay, I told you yesterday I didn't have enough data to really conclusively tell you, because at the time I was doing the live stream, it still was kind of eruptive. I think the eruption was over, but I didn't have enough data to show you exactly what I thought was going to happen. Now, you guys know I'm not going to give you 100% on any of this, because especially with stuff like this, but it did produce a halo signature. What is a halo signature? Okay, I got you over here at Soho. This is another satellite. Okay, but it is from the same perspective, essentially. It's as if you walked outside and looked at the sun. The Earth is here, satellite here. It orbits with us around the sun, but it's about 1 million miles closer to the sun than what we are. It catches a lot of sun divers. It's pretty cool. I mean, I'm talking like a bunch. So yeah. So let's go back. Let's stereo A. We're not going to even worry about stereo A tonight, because that's another satellite, guys. Sorry. So if we're looking at this, we're looking at a halo eruption. And what I mean by a halo eruption, and I'll pause it here, and most people know that's been watching me for a while know what I'm saying here. But you see this little shaded area as it spreads out? That's what we consider, this is actually a partial halo, because it's not full, right? It's not a complete circle. So you got the occulter disc right here, right? And that's a physical disc on the imager. Okay, so it's there. It doesn't get moved. It has to be there to block the light of the sun. If it's not there, we don't get an image at all. But when we see this poke around, we know that it's either coming at us, or it's going away from us. Okay, so we have to have a side view or some other way to tell what direction this thing is going. Well, that's why I showed you guys. We used to have stereo A, but with that satellite I just showed you a second ago, it used to be 90 degrees, roughly. So we had a side view of the sun, partial backside view. It's no longer there. That satellite has outlived its lifespan, and it's hanging around Earth right now. But they're still using it. It's still active and all that, but I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen with it. They may send it back out. They may not. Love you, baby girl. That's my daughter. She's going to bed. Sorry, guys. Hey, I'm a dad and I got a family, and that's what I do. Real life. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, this occulter disc is there, and you got the halo eruption just blasting off here. Now, it doesn't look to be moving very fast. Okay, so let me just start this again. And you see that kind of poke out like that too? And I'm going to slow it down just a bit here. And we'll take a look at it a couple times here. But that right there is your halo. Now, when we see that, we know, like I said yesterday, I thought it looked like we had a partial, at least it had an Earth-directed component to this eruption. That's what I said yesterday. And if you can even see it kind of poking out even up here as it spreads out. So I don't think this is going to miss us. I think this is going to hit. Now, I don't know if it's going to be a direct hit, a side glancing blow. You know, if we're going to put like numbers and stuff on it, I would guess a G1, high end, maybe G2. The eruption just was not that violent, and that's why I'm saying that. So, and the direction of it is kind of unknown a little bit, the specific direction. So, let's go back here to SDO. So you can tell, right, guys? That's why we looked at SDO also, so we get a direction. So you got to think of that as like a rope. And when it broke in the middle, say you had a rubber band, that's a better way to say it, and you pulled it tight, right? And you cut it in half. What happens? You're holding both sides. Well, say you pull the rubber band with both your fingers, both hands, pulled it sideways and had somebody else just cut the one side. What's it do? Well, both of the sides where you cut, it flicks out, right? Well, that's exactly what's happening with this. Okay? It's just like a filament in the old incandescent light bulbs also. That's what these things are. They're filaments. And it's plasma that travels on these magnetic connection lines. Okay? So that's what you're seeing there. You know how an incandescent light bulb has a little spring shape in the middle in the little wire. So it causes resistance as electricity passes through it. That resistance causes heat. The heat produces light. That's how old style incandescent light bulbs, work. Now the younger kids aren't never going to know what that even is. It's all LED now, and rightfully so. LEDs last forever. I can't tell you last time I changed my garage door bulb. It's been years. So anyway, got that flicking off right there, right there, right there, right there. Yeah, there is no Carrington event here right now. Thank you, Renee, for saying that. Guys, she just said it for me, really. If it was something like that, that would have been the first thing out of my mouth, and that probably would have been the only thing we would be talking about. If I could even get here. If it's a Carrington event level style, strength, grid down type of stuff, I'm probably not going to be able to get here, guys. Remember, we're automatically on almost like a 4-hour delay on getting these images anyway. A Carrington event that would erupt off the sun that would cause like a Carrington event stuff that happened with the telegraph lines. Now, obviously grid down would happen, right? That was an X45 flare. And it got here in I think it was 12 hours. The CME part. The flare part of it got here in 8 minutes. So there just simply there won't be any time for me to come out here and give you guys much of a warning at all, if I can do it at all. Couple reasons. The timing, like I just explained, and I have a family. So I'm going to be, that's going to be my focus, and which is why I did this today. I want you guys to be aware that these things can happen, and when they do happen, it's not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. Now, will it happen in my lifetime? I can't tell you that. I don't know. But we do talk about it because we are due for something like that, as far as historic data is concerned. You go off history to try to time out things, and we are due for a big event. We talk about a pole reversal, we talk about all these other things that can happen, but we need to consider a large solar flare too. Not to mention some of the biggest fears we got to be, I shouldn't say fear. Some of the biggest concerns we need to be concerned about is ourselves. We're here on our planet doing it to ourselves. It's crazy. And you guys know what I'm talking about. Pew, pew, bang, bangs type of stuff. Across the ocean and firing big rockets at each other and that kind of stuff. Yeah. That is, in my opinion, probably more likely than any of this. Just to be honest. Okay? But it is a matter of if. It's not a matter of when the sun will do something like this. Okay? So, with that being said, let me pop over here and show you, well, so I showed you that. Now, this is our magnetosphere, okay? So the sun's off to the left, right? So it's always shooting solar wind at us, always. Highly charged particles just firing at us all the time, right? So let me hit play here on one of these movie tools. You got a bow shock out here. That's the first point of contact. Solar wind and our magnetic field. Came with the scope uses a really good analogy. You can pretend there's a slinky stretched around your planet right here. And that's really what our magnetosphere looks like. Okay, you stretch it back just like this. It's not a flat sheet. It's nothing like that. Things come in on our poles. So if you think about a slinky, it's going to be rounded, right? And it's going to be rounded to the North Pole and to the South Pole. Right? Now, I seen something on this imaging that I thought was interesting. Let's see if I can't zoom in. It's probably not going to let me. Let me just back that off a little bit. Okay, let's try this. Yeah, can you guys see that fluttering right there? That's odd. I've not seen it do that in a while. I mean, I've seen it before, but I'm not really sure. And we're just looking at velocity. It's just showing you the speeds that things are traveling right here, okay? Now, this is density down here. The light colors are lower. The darker blues are the higher dense, okay? And you're not going to see a whole lot, right? There's not a whole lot going on. And let me tell you why. Look at this. Pressure, magnetic pressure. Virtually none. Okay, we see these kinds of signatures during solar minimum. So right now at our planet, there is not a whole lot of geomagnetism going on. Now let me say this. With the geomagnetic storm on the way from that filament, with us being in this position magnetically, we could take a harder hit because of this. We need some geomagnetism hanging around, some stuff from the sun, to actually protect us from the big blasts from the sun. I know it sounds weird, but that's how it works. Okay? So given that, we're going to be watching this, the geomagnetic activity. If it gets to a 5, that's a G1 storm. Like a severe thunderstorm warning system, 1 to 9, you can go higher. I mean, you can take these things way up. Like a Carrington event would be way past the G9, or G5 storm. But we also look up here for flares. And we haven't had very many like M-class flares since yesterday. We had 2 M-class flares, and when you get an M-class flare, you get a radio blackout. That's the threshold, okay? So R1 to R2 is in the M-class range. R3 radio blackouts, that's the beginning of an X-class flare. And it's all measured by X-ray here, okay? So if you come down here, you can see these things hitting. This is what this is showing you. When you see the bullseye signature here, that's from a flare. Now, sometimes you'll come over here, just like yesterday, we had a radiation storm going on, and around our poles, it was lit up, right? That's because the stuff was coming in. It was just coming in, But yeah. So yeah, guys, I do have everything turned on too, and my goal is to have memberships started tomorrow. Okay, I think I can get that done. I got some pretty cool stuff lined up. But I just wanted to mention that and let you guys know that I'm going to be starting up memberships tomorrow. You guys want to, I got some really cool stuff. I'm thinking about doing some like pre-stream members only stuff, like watching me set up and do some Zoom calls and those kinds of things. So I want to build a bigger connection with you guys. We've already got a really good one anyway, but, you know, is what it is. And we're going to try to build on that. Hopefully you guys can support me in that, and we can have fun and learn all at the same time. You know, so hopefully, you know, anybody that's been here for a while already knows that's how I am. I'm a family dude. So anyway, enough of that crap. So this is the Magnetopause also. This is just my brothers over there in Australia. Aussie. This is their model. Okay, they're using the same data. Nothing is different here. It's just, it looks different, right? This is a very, very simple model, and that's why I love it. You see that bouncing around? That was yesterday. We were taking some hits, and I don't know if it was correct data or not. I still haven't figured that out yet. Regardless, our magnetic field handled it. We did not get in any kind of geomagnetic storming, okay? So what I want to do now is show you this coronal hole. This coronal hole, we'll talk about the comet here in just a second, guys, okay? So this coronal hole, it's becoming big. And we also got to take in consideration the parallax effect. When you're looking at a sphere from the front, okay? Like even if you had somebody hold a ball and go to the other side of the room and put a black mark on the side of that ball, it's going to look smaller when it's on the side. And if you rotate it, as it rotates in, it's going to look like it grows, even when it doesn't. Okay? So we have to keep that in mind also. But I do think this one here is actually growing at the same time. Why do I think that? Well, you see this dark area here? Now we're talking about a hole not in the sun. We're talking about a hole in the sun's atmosphere, the corona. It's a coronal hole, okay? So why is this black? Well, the surface of the sun is colder than the atmosphere. And I'm not going to get into all that. The Parker ST probe went out there and it kissed the sun, got into the atmosphere of the sun, and was trying to get readings because they're trying to figure that out. Why is that? Why is the sun's surface colder than the atmosphere? In a whole lot of ways, it doesn't make a lot of, you know, I guess, unless you really dig into the physics and stuff. There's so much about our sun that we don't know. We don't know enough about our own planet. So, you know, we're always just going to continue to learn. But that is a fact. The sun's surface is colder than the atmosphere. So when you roll this back, I'll roll it back here. You see how that hole just kind of appears? See how small it looks? Now, I'm not sure if it was just starting right there, because that could be what's going on. So if I roll this through, and you see this, see how it's getting dark here now? Let me back that up, and we'll look at it. See how it's light right about there? See how light that is? It doesn't look much different than the surrounding areas of it, right? But as it rotates in, it's getting darker. So what that's telling me is you can even kind of see it really opening up here too. So this hole may grow that big. I'm not saying it's going to, because I can't. I mean, but looking at it right now, it does look like the corona is going to open up at least a little bit more here. I do think this is probably going to get bigger. And a lot of that is this sunspot over here that's getting ready to rotate in is very active, and it's big. There's one up here also. So yeah. So what's the coronal hole do to us? Well, it opens up the atmosphere and it exposes the surface. We're connected to the sun via a magnetic connection line. So when plasma is leaving the sun, what's plasma? It's a charged gas. Okay? You got solid, liquid, gas, and then you got plasma. That's the fourth state of matter. Okay? All it is a gas that has a charge, positive, negative. That's it. That's all that is. That's what plasma is. So when the surface opens up, or the corona opens up and exposes the surface, these particles start flowing out. And they grab a hold of our magnetic connection line, and it increases what we see here at our planet. So you got to start talking about the speed of it. The density really matters. All of that, right? So how do we know what's going on with that? Well, you can come over here and we can look at Discover, and this is just the raw data. I don't like really showing this a whole lot. I know I have in the past. I'm trying to get away from showing graphs because I know it's boring, okay? It really is. It truly is one of the most boring things you can do is look at a graph, okay? So I don't want to, like, bore you guys, and I get it, you know? I bet if I went back and look at my analytics, I would bet that I lose half, you know, I lose some people when I start showing this graph. But I'm still going to show it because it's important. But we talk about the BZ here, right? The BZ is the magnetic position of our magnetic field. Okay? When we're in the negative, we look for -6 or bigger. So this will actually light up purple. You know, something got the like red shade here. When it's -6 up here on the BZ, it'll show up in like a purple background right there. Okay? Notice how we're in the positive. That means right now we're really deflecting things if it hits. And let me explain why. So when the BZ goes -6, it puts our magnetic polarity in a position that we couple to the sun, to that solar wind. We couple to the sun that way. And the further negative you go, the more you couple. So what happens is it grabs hold when we complete that circuit, right, between us and the sun. So anything leaving the sun is going to flow right to us. Okay, so that's why that happens. So when we say -6, that's what we're talking about. We need to be coupled, and that's why it comes in on the poles, because we coupled through a circuit. When it gets here, it's either going to come in the North Pole or in the South Pole, and it's going to flow. Okay, that's how it works. And because of that, you know, sometimes you'll get cracks in our magnetic field. It'll open up, and you'll see aurora. It lets the stuff blast into our atmosphere. So that's why we look at this stuff, and it can cause all the stuff that we talk about, right? All the good stuff, like aurora, and all the bad stuff, like power outages. Okay, that's what it does. So with that being said, let me take you guys here to this one. This is the geoelectric field model. This is the geoelectric field at the surface. Now, they added Canada up here, and thank God they did, because it really gives you a better view of what's going on, considering things come in at the poles. Who's closer to the poles than us? Canada. Well, I guess if you counted Alaska up here, it might be a little different. But this is trying to show you space weather's effect on unnatural electrical components, such as wires, switches, anything that's not, you know, naturally there. Anything man-made is trying to show you that effect, right? So you're going to see it more in the populated areas. Okay, so it's not odd to see this right here. Plus, there's, you know, the mountain chains there, and there's a mountain chain over here. Obviously, the Rocky Mountains, this is the Appalachians over here. But that all affects this model. And I would assume that they're still working on this and tweaking it, because it's fairly new. And they're using it to try to bridge a gap between space weather and seismic activity. Okay? Seismic activity, it definitely is affected by space weather. We see the uptick every time we take a hit. So they're trying to understand that better, and to help them better forecast things. That's why they're using it. Okay? So when we get hit with space weather, that's geomagnetic, right? But the geomagnetic affects the geoelectric, and vice versa, actually. Okay, so this is actually at the surface. So when we see this model like start to really act up, then we know something is going on. We know that we're taking a hit of some sort. It's really about the only option you really have there, I would think. I don't know what else could cause this thing to go crazy, right? Unless you're having some sort of internal generation problem from our planet of our magnetic field. I don't know. But you'll see stuff come in on even on this model. It'll start coming in up here. You'll see it. Sometimes it comes in slow. Sometimes it comes in immediate. But it always comes in from the north down, because of that coupling effect I was just talking about. Okay? things come in. You got to think that the Earth's axis, you can think of it like a bar magnet. You got a positive on one end and a negative on the other. And that's why it's such a big deal when we talk about like a pole reversal or a magnetic excursion, all those things that we talk about when we talk about that. Those poles, you're basically taking that bar magnet and you're forcing it to come together. Positive and negative are drawn to each other. So they're eventually going to meet. And when they meet, what happens? That's the termination event, and bam, the magnetic field goes down, at least for a period of time. Hopefully it doesn't stay down very long. And there's a whole lot of science behind all of that, and a whole lot of opinions, a whole lot of nastiness too. I'll just put it to you that way. It is the source of some massive arguments. And that's why I don't go down that road. I will tell you, hey, this is what they're talking about, but I'm not going to pinpoint anything for that reason. And I don't feel like I'm knowledgeable enough about that subject to really go deep on that. I do understand it, but I'm not going to come out here and try to tell somebody, hey, you need to go do this, all that stuff. So, let's, you guys there talking about, that's cool. EMP fabric. Yeah. Yep. Have you guys ever heard of graphene? If you guys don't know what graphene is, you need to DuckDuckGo or Google or whatever you guys need to do with that and go check that out. Graphene is an awesome material. It's an endless wick. You can light it on fire. It's an endless wick. It doesn't deteriorate. It's crazy. But anyway, go look that up. You'd be doing yourself a favor. So, to kind of sum that part of what I'm talking about up tonight, guys, and we're going to talk about the comet here in just a second. But NOAA is forecasting a G1 on the 20th. And it's a G1 geomagnetic storm. It's the lowest level. And I want to point something else out too here, guys. Geomagnetic activity, when it's this low for this extended period of time, we actually need to be talking about cosmic rays. Because geomagnetism helps deflect those cosmic rays. Helps block them. Helps absorb them. Those kinds of things. Okay? But, yeah. When we're this low, we don't typically get this low for this period of time during our ramp up to solar maximum or at solar maximum. Now remember, with the sun being solar maximum or minimum, it's always on the move, is what I'm saying. So you're either going to be moving towards solar maximum or you're going to be moving away. That termination event is just a split second, okay? So that's how fast it happens. So you're either starting that journey to ramp up to more activity or you're slowing down, okay? So just remember that. I'm not going to be able to pinpoint, hey, this right here is when this happened, when, the sun cycle reset. Now, they wait now, actually, and they look at the data. So we don't even know, they won't even come out with an official time till months later, usually. You got to wait for that termination event, and then they got to prove it out and all that. So with that being said, we are looking at a geomagnetic storm coming. It could get bigger than that. It really does depend on some things here. And let me show you this real quick because I forgot to show it. Okay, there's that eruption. This is the NASA Enlil spiral model. It's a CME tracker, and that's that filament eruption. It doesn't look to be moving very fast, and it doesn't even look to be very dense. Okay, but it does. This is a top-down view. Earth's the yellow ball. Okay, this is a side cut. So the direction that it's traveling, if it misses us completely, it's going to miss us to the south. It's lined up with us pretty much when we're talking about a top-down view. But if you look at the side cut here, you can see how a lot of it is really going to our south. And right in the middle of that, you can see where it would be more dense. So the closer you get to the middle, typically more dense it is. But this is our orbital line stretched out in a straight line. And you can see it hit this here too. Now that red box is stereo A. That satellite I was talking about earlier. Okay, I just wanted to point that out. Okay, so that's what's going on with that. Now, again, we could get a geomagnetic storm. So before we go to that, I want to give some credit here to Dr. Tony Phillips, spaceweather.com. Go check out this website, guys. It's an awesome website. I look at it every day. A lot of times, multiple times a day. Okay? So what are we looking at here? Canyon of Fire eruption. I just showed you guys that, right? He's talking about the same thing. And then geomagnetic storm, obviously. But then he goes down here and he's talking about Comet 12P, Pons Brooks, the one that's coming. It's going to be in the sky during the eclipse. Okay? The sun blasted that thing. Okay? And it's going to happen more. These things are not immune to blasts from the sun. They're just like any other body out in our solar system. If something erupts from the sun in that direction, it's going to hit it. So what can it do? Well, this time it hit it, and it bent the tail. Bent the tail of the comet. That's from a CME. It got hit from a CME. One of those ones that went off the backside. Well, kind of went off to the side. But let me show you. And I don't typically do this, so please go over here and show them some love. Please, do me a favor. Give them some traffic over there. They call this a disconnection event. And I didn't know that till I read this over here. So thank you, Dr. Tony Phillips. But if we want to see what happens when the CME hits, well, CME hit Comet Inky when it was coming in. And watch what happens. It completely ripped the tail off. Okay? So, again, it's not exactly the same like our magnetosphere. Like the tool I showed you here. This one. Okay? This is Earth traveling, right? We're moving. But the solar weather's coming this way, so that's why everything gets pushed off this direction. Same thing is true with the comet, but not to the extent of what some might hold it. But that's why the tail is there, and that's what's happening. It's not exactly the same, but it's close. So when it gets hit, it's going to get hit again. This is Comet Inky. This isn't 12P. But this particular one, the CME hit, and it hit it and bent the tail. Okay? So, yeah. And I get a lot of questions about this, and we're going to be talking about this a whole lot, okay? Because it's really is big space weather news. This comet's coming in, and a lot of people don't even know how the comet is even moving, where it's at, any of that. So guess what? There is a website called The Sky Live, right here. Okay, it's a free site. You just go over there and you can look, all right? So this is our inner solar system. If anybody's ever played with like Google Earth or what's the other one? There's another one you can get. You can look at all the star charts and everything. It's three-dimensional, much like this one right here. Okay? But it's interactive. See what I can do here? Okay? So if we look at a top-down view, we're looking at all these other comets. There's other comets too, just so you know. There's comets coming in and out all the time, guys. Most people don't even consider that, but it's happening. Anyway, so if you're looking from the top down, from our view, there's Earth, right? This is Comet 12P, right here. This is where the comet's at. It's actually crossing Earth's orbit right now. What that means is, if the Earth was here, we'd be having a pretty bad day. I'm just saying. Anyway, but you can see this is its orbit. Okay? That red line right there is the orbit of the comet. So let me bring you back down to this is what we call the, gosh dang it. Give me a second, guys. Sorry, guys. Wow. Woo. Man. This is what we call the ecliptic. Okay, so what the ecliptic is basically you can pretend that there's an imaginary line at the equator of the sun and you stretch it out infinitely. That's the ecliptic. Okay, so when you hear somebody say, hey, that's above the ecliptic or below the ecliptic, that's what they're talking about. It's basically the equator of the sun position stretched out, right? This keeps going on infinitely. So some planets actually will orbit the sun above the ecliptic and below the ecliptic. Some planets will be like us, above it sometimes and below it other times. Okay, that's just how it works. And you know, we hang out real close to the ecliptic, and most planets do. But there are ones out there that don't. So, you know, they move a lot more distance than what we do as far as that's concerned. So, given that, if you look at what the position of this comet, now I want to point out its orbit, though. Okay, it's crossing Earth's orbit, but you guys see the direction that it takes? Okay, this is why we're going to be able to see it, because as time goes on, this, if you can picture yourself looking from let's do this, looking from this view, right? This is Soho. It's from our point of view. The comet would be coming in up here. Not down here or right here in the middle. It's coming in like this. Okay? It's coming in, and it actually was more like this. All right? So what that does is, and keep in mind, these things are always falling into the sun. We are actually very similar. I'm not going to get into all that, but the comets and sun divers and things like that, everything is falling into the sun. So what happens is it can escape that, and it gets that little, what I call the slingshot effect. And I didn't coin that term, but what was his name? Rockhound on that movie Armageddon, where he said that we were doing the the Roadrunner thrust move when they were going around the moon to get some speed to get behind that, the asteroid that was coming to Earth. If anybody's ever seen that movie, you probably know what I'm talking about. But that's the same thing that's happening with this. Okay, see how it came in this direction? It's orbiting the sun. So when it gets close to the sun, it will get slung back out. If it did not, if it got too close, the sun would eat it up. But given that, and it's coming in this direction, you can see that the closer it gets to the ecliptic, the more chance it's going to have of getting hit by anything getting blasted from the sun. Because if the sun blows something out this way, it cones out, right? So if it's down here, it doesn't have to cone very much. It just has to go in that general direction. And this thing will get hit again. This is a lot of the reasons why that we get to see the brightness of it. Because this is a cryovolcanic comet. Okay, I'm not going to go into what that all is, but it's really cold gas, all that stuff. So when really hot plasma hits it, what happens? Plus, the thing is actually spinning, just so you know. I actually reported on that the other day, but everybody's been talking about it, so that's kind of why I didn't. Everybody else has been covering it, but this is how this thing is coming in. And I want you guys to really pay attention, because this makes this whole eclipse thing that much more special. This is not going to happen ever again for us. Okay? So just know that. So I highly encourage you guys to check this eclipse out. I'm trying to get the stuff together now to try to live stream during it, because I live in the path of totality. They have told us all that live where I live to stay home, because it would take 3 hours to drive from one side of town to the other during the time on April 8th. Okay? And that's ridiculous. But every hotel here where I live has been booked up for over a year. This is a big deal. So when you got to think where this thing is at, right? So as it gets down closer to here, because we're here, the sun washes it out during the day. Okay? We can't see this thing in the daytime. Right? Unless you go outside with the sun filter and the telescope. Which a lot of people do, and that's how they know where this thing is at, right? But what I'm saying is, most people don't have that kind of stuff. So what happens is, when this is here, right, and the eclipse happens, it makes the sky dark. Then what do you see? You get to see the comet in the sky at the same time. So not only do we get to see the eclipse, but we get to see this comet on the day side without any equipment, without any telescope. It should be visible to your naked eye. It's supposed to be that bright. And the sun obviously is going to get dark because, again, we're talking about perspective. If you're not in the path of totality, that doesn't work for you. Okay? I just got lucky enough that that's where I'm at. And it's going to be a big deal. It's going to be awesome. So, I'm going to try to live stream it, guys. I'm not sure how successful that's going to be because I'm going to have to be mobile. I have to be outside. I don't really have all that stuff. I don't have the money to do all that, and that's why. But I'm going to still try to at least go outside and use my phone and I got some eclipse glasses. You can put it over the lens, and you can use that. I highly encourage you guys to at least do something like that. Please don't look at the sun without some protection, okay? Don't do that, especially at that time. But hopefully, it's not raining and all that stuff to kind of mess it up for me. But if that happens, I'm probably going to get in my car and try to go, because I live on the south end of where I live, and I can get out the south end of town and not have to worry about that traffic. But you're going to see a lot of people. This is a big deal. This is a once-in-a-lifetime thing, guys. Just so you know. So please don't just, blow this off. I'm going to try my best to be here and do this for you guys. The kids they actually, because of everything that's going on, the kids aren't even going to be in school that day. So, yeah. I hope it doesn't, turn into a mess here where I live. Because it could. People get stupid with each other, you know what I mean? But so let me kind of zoom in here a little bit and give you guys a better look. So I hope this is explaining to you guys exactly the direction of this thing. All right? Now I know you're probably sitting here looking at this thinking, well, its orbital line is like this. Why is the tail this direction? Well, because that's the way the solar wind is going. Okay? It's interacting with that. The tail's getting blown back because of solar wind, not because of its movement. If it was solely based on its movement, this tail would be right on the orbital path with it. Okay? So, to give you a better idea, let me just go top down again. And you can see, I'll zoom out a little bit more. This is Earth's orbit. So, it's crossing Earth's orbit right now. Okay? Or it's real close to it. So this thing is going to do nothing but get more and more visible. It's going to get blasted by the sun, and each time it does, it's going to make space weather news. It will, because this is what helps these things become bright. It lets us see them. I guess on the bad end of things that can happen, which I don't think is going to happen. If the sun was to shoot some big, huge CME at it, it could break it up, I guess. I don't know. But that would be one thing I would consider. But please, guys, go check out this website. It's in my description box. It's called The Sky Live. You get to do a whole lot of different things here. You got a night guide, planetarium, asteroids, comets, major bodies. You can type in your location, or type in the location of an object you want to see in space, and it takes you right to it. It's really cool. Really cool. So, I just wanted to point that out to you guys. This is what's going on with this comet, and that's why it got hit with a CME and it bent its tail. So thank you, Dr. Tony Phillips, for reporting on that. I don't know that I would have picked up on that story if it hadn't have been for him. He does great work over here. Please come check him out over here. It's in my description box. Also, it's simply spaceweather.com. So please go check it out. All right, so to give a little bit of a recap, what do we got going on? Well, right now we're paying attention to cosmic rays because our geomagnetic activity is low. Okay, so when that happens, cosmic rays come in. I'm not going to get into exactly. Cosmic rays can make us sick, but it takes a lot, and have to be extended periods of time. But some people are more sensitive than others. So, but it is something we consider when our geomagnetic activity stays this low. We need some activity from the sun. We need a balance. This needs to hang out between 2 and 3 to really, keep us at a strong enough level geomagnetic wise, but not get us into storming. Okay, that's what's up. So anyway, you got that. We're looking for that blast that we're going to get from that magnetic filament. Okay, this one here. Okay, that's probably going to hit us. The NASA tracker is saying it is. The NOAA has an little spiral also. This one. Okay, I forgot to show it to you, so we'll take a look at it real quick. Okay, so you got 2 days historic data. That's what this thing does. Right now, it's right at about the change of the day on the 18th. So right now, that's what it looks like in our solar system. Okay, and this is all historic data. So this is what happened. They come in here and they change that if they need to. Then they try to forecast 5 days out in advance. I think that's a bit far. I think we should stop about 2 days out. I don't trust it out this far because it always changes. Now, they do something great here, too. As time moves forward, they get more data in. They will change this, okay? They need to. It's a forecast model, okay? It's not, they're not changing it for any other reason than that, okay? I know that it's sometimes hard to trust that kind of thing, but that's what's going on. Now, if they say, hey, we got this thing, we just changed the data, and we got a hit right here on the 19th, and it's going to be here on the 19th, I'm probably going to trust it, okay? Especially when NASA's version of this says the same thing, okay? They use the same model, but they use different data points. They take more into consideration on one end than the other. So we got that coming, okay? Now, it's supposed to be here on the 20th. You see this little bump right here and this little uptick here? That's what that is. So it doesn't look like it's going to be very strong, which is what you would expect with the G1 storm, okay? So NOAA does give us the official forecast. That's where the forecast comes from, okay? Now, so we got that going on, right? And we have this coronal hole coming in. This is going to open us up too, all right? The CME is going to hit us way before we connect to this. Okay, so when this gets into your strike zone, we'll probably connect to it about here. And it is running a little bit south of the equator of the sun. When that's happening, things that are just below the equator of the sun, we connect to easier, more often. Okay, that's what's happening. So, yeah. But yeah, guys, go check out Ron. He's in here. Ron, drop your link, bud. He'll tell you seismic activity definitely upticks when we see these stuff hit Earth. All right. But go check out Emergency Management Associates. Great dude. Ripper's out there too, guys. Go check out Rip Curl Readiness at the range. He's making videos again. Great prepping, great range, pew content. Go check it out. But this coronal hole is when it gets here, we're going to connect to it. Okay? And it's going to flow out. Things are flowing out now. It's just when it crosses our couple, we're going to couple to it. It's going to drag it in. Right? So we got to pay attention to that. That could put us into storm levels also. During solar minimum, when the sun looks like this, This is 2020. That's the difference. Solar minimum, solar maximum. Close to it anyway. Okay? See the difference? These are not all holes. Okay? I know it looks like it, but it's not. It's just because the geomagnetic, the sun itself is just not that active. That's why. So, but watch this. Watch this canyon of fire open up on this view. See that? So you can see what it does to the sun's atmosphere when these things rip off. Okay? Now you're going to notice that it closed back up. Whoa. And you can kind of see all the arcs here. Those are magnetic connection lines. So I just thought that was cool right there. Okay? Now, you can see how it actually created a coronal hole there for a minute, but it covered right back up, which oftentimes it does. But sometimes these things will erupt off, and it will cause a coronal hole, and that coronal hole will stay there. Kind of crazy, but it's the way it works. We'll call it crazy, I guess. But then we got Bent Tail Comet 12P, Ponsbrook's Comet 12P. That's what we're looking at, guys. We're going to keep an eye on this one. I'm going to try to bring you guys the eclipse since I am in the path of totality. I'm trying to communicate with other people that are also. I may end up trying to do like a group thing where we got different locations and we can live stream it. I'm going to try. Okay, guys. I'm not sure how successful I'm going to be with this. I've never done anything like that. So I'm working on it. It's just going to take me a minute. Okay. So anyway, guys, that's what we got. You guys got any questions? Let me know. But yeah, you guys got any questions here? Hope you guys are doing good. Ripper, thank you, buddy. Love you, brother. Ron's in here. Miss V, what's up? Gave you guys all the space there at the beginning. Tried to stay on point. Hopefully that worked, guys. Hey, what's going on, Carrington app? Guys, hey, go check out that app. The Carrington app is an awesome app. Please, go to your Play stores, whatever store you guys use, and get that app. It's awesome. It shows you multiple different in-low spirals and everything else. It's really cool. Go check it out. What are you confused about, Vicky? Is that my internet, Mom? Is that you, Vicky? Stephanie's in the house. Well, thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate it. Miss B in the hizzy. Michael Hart, what's up? Yeah, guys, please get that app. It's really cool. Hey, Internet Mom, good to see you. Thank you, Christine. Appreciate you. Guys, I am going to try my best to start memberships tomorrow. I got some really cool, like I said, some cool emojis and stuff. Yeah. Which satellite stays with us in the sun? That would be Soho. If I'm following you there, it would be this one. So let me, if I'm understanding you, we're here. See that right there? And that satellite's right out in front of us. Now, if we're talking about the one that stays over the same part of the planet, that would be this one. But it's essentially from the same point of view. Okay? They're not exactly in the same spot, but they're really, really close. Okay? Hey, Mr. Dragon. Daniel. Hey, Ron's in the hizzy. My brother. Man, I can't tell you how much your support has helped me here lately, buddy. I can't even tell you. It's crazy. So thank you. Thank you, brother. Yeah, I even get a little emotional when I talk about that stuff. Sorry. Okay. I agree, lower class. 100. You're welcome, Lady L. Hey, you ain't confused. You're smarter than most people I know, Vicky. If a CME hit, what can we expect? Turn up the volume. I got volume issues. Well, I'm turned all the way up, but I'm not saying that ain't happening. That could be actually happening. I'm not sure, guys. Let me I'll work on the audio, man. I'm sorry about that. I'll see if I can't get it louder for my next live stream. Oh, you're welcome, lower class. Thank you, Mimi. But yeah, guys, I mean, again, I'm excited about the memberships because this is more than just a space weather channel. I'm not even, I have no formal education in this. I'm learning as I'm going. Also, I've been doing it now for 5 years. I know what these models look like, and I know what they're trying to represent, and that's what I try to share with you guys. And it just, I think, for me, the reason I even kept doing it is because of the connection I built with you guys. It is a family atmosphere. It truly is. And I hope you guys can come over to the memberships because that's going to increase. It's just going to build that more. Again, guys, I plan on having like Zoom calls. I'm going to, there's going to be a certain membership level that's going to be part of what I'm going to call my steering committee. Help steer the direction of the channel, what you guys want me to do, what you guys want me to report on. Is there something cool that I haven't covered? Those kinds of things. But the content that I've always given you is going to stay. It's not going to change that at all. So don't feel like you have to be a member for any of that. Okay? Because it's always, that part is always going to be there. I'm just going to try to add a few extra things. That's all. So, yeah, Brunfield, you've been here for a minute. Thank you for hanging with me. Why is the star in Soul and not galactic or even universe? Not sure if I follow you there, bud. Back at you. Back at you, V. It's a good question, Bib B. I've never even asked that. That's a good question. Bib B says, I wonder what the aliens call our solar system. What name did they give it? My guess would be hell. I don't know. Maybe something like that. My life ain't hell, though. Hey, happiness is a choice, guys. It's not guaranteed or given. You got to go get it. You got to choose it. Don't let nobody steal that from you. You go get it, whatever it is. If you ever hear anything on this channel that scares you, you need to click the big red X box on the right, top right of your corner in your window, and come back tomorrow. Because that's something we don't do here is fear. And I'm trying to make everybody aware, and that eliminates fear. And I've done that by watching others that do the same, like Marf. Adam and Dex do a great job with that. Tommy, he doesn't like go out there and try to scare people with recovery information. We could have. He could do that every day. We could show you some really nasty stuff in that, but we didn't because it typically doesn't do much good. Why scare? There's no room in my life for fear. I'm not saying we shouldn't be concerned about things, because we should. We should take things seriously when we need to, but we don't need to be fearful. Fearful will cause you to make bad decisions. And that's what we don't want to do. Alien, he thinks it's hell. That's what I'm saying, right? Right, V? Exactly, Carrington. Yes, exactly. I'm not saying your name, Carrington, because I didn't know if you wanted me to. So that's that's why I'm not. Wafugaloco? Wafugaloo? There is no fear needed. That's right, Daniel. You don't need that. You really don't. Oh, happy anniversary tomorrow, Carrie. That's awesome. I've been with my wife for 30 years. Be 31 this year in September. Hey, you know, my wife is my best friend. And I have to say this too. I didn't realize that till I was married to her for 10 years. I'm just saying. I'm being honest with you guys. You know? And we always loved each other. It's not like that. But when you're married that long, sometimes you, well, heck, guys, I did a video sharing my little bit of my recovery story and how I got in, you know, how I was addicted to the pills and what my wife did for me during all that. And how she, well, she was standing at the back door and I didn't know it, and stopped me from unaliving myself. That was even before my addiction. So these are the things that I went through with my wife and my family, my kids. And it's just it's one of those things, guys. She is my best friend. I got other best friends like that I would call best friends, but yeah, it's just who it is. You guys should really go back and check out that video I made. I'll have to. I don't know if I can get to it right now, but I'll it's there. I'll put the link, or I'll mention it tomorrow or something. But all right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and pop off. You guys are awesome. Hey, Angel. Wrath, what's up? Hey, Leisure. Back just for me to say goodbye. All right, guys. I'm excited about memberships tomorrow. I really am. I hope that, you know, people really can help me with that and come into the membership thing, and we can really, like, build something there that is going to be really cool and fun. It's not ever going to be like a big serious thing either. I'm not going to do that. It's going to be us having fun together, building connections with each other that become more solid. It's like some of my closest friends I've never even physically seen. That's just a fact. Well, Christian's in here, Leisure, and then, you know, anybody else that Miss V, she's been around. I would consider those guys close friends of mine. I really would. I know that we don't talk every day or anything like that, but what I'm saying is I know enough about them and they know enough about me that I would consider them a really good friend. And I've never put a hug on them ever. And that's eventually going to come too. I'm going to be doing some meet and greets as things progress here. So, Ripper, that man right there, telling you. You guys got to understand. You don't understand how good of a guy that guy is. He deserves so many more subscribers than what he's got. So if you guys could, please go over to his channel, Rip Curl Readiness. Sub up, watch his videos. You'll learn. It's awesome. And you're doing it for a great dude. So anyway, before I get all sappy and stuff, I'm going to go ahead and pop off, guys. We've been on here for almost a little over an hour. Had a lot to go over, but YouTube hates it when you go over an hour. I'm not really concerned about that, but, you know, seeing how we already busted it anyway. But I am going to look into doing the bridge thing. What I'm saying about a bridge, like if there's somebody I know that's live streaming, when I end my live stream, I can port you guys over. You don't ever even have to leave my chat. It'll port you straight over to their live stream. So I'm working on setting that up and see if people, you know, just to try to help the whole community as a whole. So, all right, guys, I am going to pop off. God bless. Yahusha saves. You can drink this Kool-Aid.